So, welcome, Shweta and Taru. Let's start. So, let us take a moment of silence before we begin with the prayer. Yeah, so would anyone like to read the prayer? March 19, 1914.
Yeah, I'll read.
Okay, please go.
March 19th, 1914. O Lord, eternal teacher, thou whom we can neither name nor understand, but whom we want to realize more and more at every moment, enlighten our intelligence, illumine our hearts, transfigure our consciousness. May everyone awaken to the true life, flee from egoism and its train of sorrow and anguish, and take refuge in thy divine and pure love, source of all peace and all happiness. My heart, so full of thee, seems to expand into infinity, and my intelligence, all illumined with thy presence, shines like the purest diamond. Thou art the wonderful magician, he who transfigures all things from ugliness, brings forth beauty, from darkness, light, from mud, clear water, from ignorance, knowledge, and from egoism, goodness. In thee, by thee, for thee, we live, and thy law is the supreme master of our life. May thy will be done in every place. May thy peace reign upon all the earth.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shweta. So, any reflections, anyone?
It's just that, it just feels good to read this
Yeah,
prayer. It makes you feel very nice.
that's
Yeah,
true. True.
expansion, like you say.
Yeah. Yes. I think that is what mother says that has to ultimately shift, what we think our real life is. We have to make this real in every moment, and not that this is just a glimpse for us and that's it, and then the real life takes over. We have to make this our real life in every moment. So that's the shift mother says is required. So I'll start reading, taking it line by line, and then, and if any reflection, any insights are there at any time, please unmute and share. O Lord, eternal teacher, thou whom we can neither name nor understand. As we talk about, the other name for divine, there are many names that we, even in Hindu, uh, Indian scriptures, we use names like Agye, that who we cannot know, and Anant, again infinite, unknowable. So all we have parallels in Hindi also. We have these words, immutable. So that whom we can neither name nor understand, because the moment we name anything, we make it limited. That okay, this is it, now I know, and this is not beyond this boundary of my knowing. But the divine is everywhere, and it's even beyond the boundaries of all the knowings that we may have in our limited existence. So the moment we name, especially nowadays, just say, not nowadays, in general, we name a person, And the moment we name a person, or maybe a bird, or even a place like maybe Italy or France, we think that we know about it. The mind just wants to be in the known all the time, so it says that I know, yeah, 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 Italy I know, this person I know. But just as the divine is unknowable, each person, each place, each grain of sand, that is also, even physically, if we see logically, it is still very mystical. It has a lot of mysteries around it which are not solved. For example, even an atom, you know, science has progressed so much, but how well do we know an atom? We don't even know an atom. We are trying to break it into pieces and pieces, but yet we have not figured out that, okay, what is the minimum possible piece that an atom can have. What we were doing in, for example, in CERN, scientists trying to find a God particle. We have not been able to do that. And we wonder whether we'll be able to do that, to kind of diminute uh, the divine or the existence in one particle. Would that be possible? So that's our trials. That's what we are trying, but we have not been able to do that. So the moment we name anything, we think we understand, but we don't. We only get a little bit of window here and there, which is forever incomplete. We never can have the full knowledge because it is infinite that we are approaching. So, thou whom we can neither name nor understand, but now how can we approach? But whom we want to realize more and more every moment, enlighten our intelligence. So, infinite, one, if one is in, if approaching infinite or approaching perfection, we can become that more and more in each moment of our life. But even when we are becoming it more and more, those people who have walked this path, truly walked this path, they will always stay away from arrogance, because they will know that the more we come close to it, the further it escapes from us, just like perfection. And the more we realize that, wow, so many elements still need correction, still need more light and illumination. So there is no end to perfection, and there is no end to realization of the divine either. But whom we want to realize, but yet there is a want in us to go towards beauty, harmony, intelligence, clarity of mind, perfection at in relationships, perfection at work, perfection within ourselves. We all crave for that, but our ways of working are a bit distorted, although even those distorted ways work for us in this or that little way. So, but whom we want to realize more and more every moment, she's praying, enlighten our intelligence. You who are infinite, you who are vast, you who are everywhere and all knowing, please enlighten our intelligence. So now I am accepting that my intelligence is limited. That's a very big step for the ego, because usually we don't even agree that I whatever I see or speak is a limited window. So that's a very big step, to be in this on our knees and to be praying that I know very little, and whatever I know is never enough. So I am ready to empty my mind now. Please, you enlighten my intelligence. We are offering our mind as an instrument. Enlighten our intelligence, illumine our hearts. Our hearts are shut, and the blindness is so strong that we don't even know that we have logged many places. At many places our like doors are there which are shut. So illumine, awaken, shed light into even our hearts, enlighten our intelligence, illumine our hearts. Just like, there's a dark room and suddenly a light comes and everything becomes visible. That kind of illumination, that one is able to see what's there inside and outside. Transfigure our consciousness. Usually our consciousness is always identified with the limited. So complete transfiguration, a radical shift. Give us that, illumine. Transfigure our consciousness. May everyone awaken. So this is with every prayer we see Mother starts with herself. First of all, she's many a times also using we, at times she also uses I, but then she includes the whole of existence. She says, may everyone awaken to the true life. Because when we suffer and we realize that how much it makes us suffer, this ignorant living, then it is quite natural, if there is a true prayer and intensity, that we include everyone who is suffering. It comes pretty naturally in our true prayers. So may everyone awaken to the true life. That's our uh, expanse of the heart, that not only for me and my family, not only may they awaken, but may each and everyone awaken to the true life. Flee from egoism, run away from egoism, which really kills us, literally tortures us at every moment. And when we realize that, oh, how much I suffer in my egoistic state, then I can understand how much others suffer in their egoistic state. So may we flee from egoism and its train of sorrow and anguish. So as if egoism is like a, something, a block going forward, and behind it, it has this train of anguish and sorrow. It is impossible to be living in egoistic state and yet to be away from anguish and sorrow. They will follow in its wake. Flee from egoism and its train of sorrow and anguish, and take refuge in thy divine and pure love, the source of all peace and all happiness. So, as we have been sharing in the sessions and discussing and reading books, what a simple key has been given to us by so many teachers. Bring your mind to the breath. Keep it simple. Don't trust and believe your thoughts. But we know how hard it becomes. Okay, focus yourself with the mother's name. How simple can it be? But we have so much trust in our thoughts that we are not ready to leave. And for even if we have a glimpse of that relaxation that we get with either mother's name or in the breath, we know how powerful it is, and how light and simple and uncomplicated it keeps things. So may all of us take flee from egoism and take refuge in thy divine and pure love, the source of all peace and all happiness. The source of all peace and all happiness is not in trying to resolve the ego patterns, is not in trying to resolve or connect the dots in my head. The source is here, right here with us 24/7. If only we are ready to take refuge. Source of all peace and all happiness. So if the ego usually is looking for happiness, that's what we are doing. If we want to resolve a state in work or relationships, what we want to do is we want to be happy. Okay, if this happens, I will be happy. If that happens, I'll be happy. But something or the other keeps getting disturbed, so nothing happens. So I keep postponing my happiness. So all that we want is happiness, and Mother is pointing us the way towards true happiness, which is take refuge in thy divine love. Don't go in the ego space, don't go in the forest of thoughts. There's no true happiness. There's suffering. We inflict more suffering on us. So, source of all peace and happiness. If we truly now are caring about ourselves, are loving towards ourselves, then we will be able to do this. My heart is so full of thee, seems to expand into infinity, and my intelligence, all illumined with thy presence, shines like the purest diamond, with clarity, illumination, light. There's no darkness that's there when we invoke this and live this truly. Thou art the wonderful magician. So this is the magic that is possible. We think that usually that no, suffering is there with everyone. How can suffering go away? Darkness is there with everyone. How can you imagine shadows and darkness to go away? But Mother is talking of a different magic here. She is saying that if we truly take refuge with the divine within and without, then magic happens. So if we want magic to happen in us, then this is the way. Thou art the wonderful magician, he who transfigures all things from ugliness brings forth beauty. From darkness, light. Again, we remember this famous, the Sanskrit shloka that we repeat, the mantra, asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma amritam gamaya. So if we want that transfiguration to happen, then this refuge has to be taken. We can't take refuge in the ego and imagine to be happy and contented and full of illumination. Ego itself needs illumination. That's what we have to do. So, who transfigures all things, from ugliness brings forth beauty, from darkness, light, from the mud, clear water, and from ignorance, knowledge, and from egoism, goodness. So, it is possible for us to transfigure egoism to goodness if only we are now convinced that this is the right path. And if I follow this path, not only does it benefit me, it also simplifies the lives around me. So it's the biggest social service one can do, doing this inner work, when we transform egoism to goodness, taking refuge in the divine. In thee, by thee, for thee, we live. So there is no other purpose now to my life. I'm not living for money. I'm not living for name, fame, respect. My needs to be fulfilled. My family should be happy. Now these are not important. What is important? In thee, by thee, for thee, we live. That's the most important. So no matter wherever I am I in this state of being? That is what is most important for me. And thy law is the supreme master of our life. So if things are not working according to my wishes and desires, I am very happy to step back, because I want the divine law to manifest. Yes, Shweta, would you like to share?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Monica,
yeah.
see, when we say in the, for the, one confusion that comes to my mind is like you always mention ki not not only my family, or things like that. So one way of finding divine is like you live a dedicated life, like to your family, to your work, or that is like through your family, through your work, through people, or through your work, you uh, always are in touch with the divine. That is one way. Now, what I don't understand is that how to separate it and only think of divine in the sense that if somebody if in my family somebody is not well, okay, now not feeling okay, now in such a situation, uh, 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 how to process this, like okay, it's not about my family, okay, somebody is not feeling okay and all, but I don't know how to like think of divine. So I feel in the way I am taking care of my loved one, that is the way to find divine. So if I'm separating it like from my loved ones, or like how to focus on divine without connecting to
Mm-hmm.
your image, to your environment, ये
Mm-hmm.
separate कैसे करना, ये मुझे हमेशा एक question आता है.
Mm-hmm. आना भी चाहिए actually. Why? Because when you are talking of separating, that
Hmm.
okay, the divine is when I'm with the divine or thinking of the divine, that is divine. And now these are other people who are around me who I have to
Uh,
take care. So when I do this, then it spreads confusion in me, and it must, because that's not true. Because if I'm separating divine, I'm actually making the divine finite. Just look at it.
hmm,
So
hmm,
what am I saying? There, when I think of the divine, is divine. But here, these people, they are something else. So you are making the divine also finite, and we are also people anyway, we consider finite, limited beings. But
hmm,
that since the divine is infinite, the premise that you are sharing, that how do I do this, that I keep thinking of the divine and yet I serve people.
Yeah, no,
S-
it's the other way around.
hmm.
It's beyond like what is happening around me, but I will focus on divine. So
Okay. And
that
then
I,
then the moment you say this, that I will focus on the divine, we also know that since divine is everywhere,
hmm,
it is also there in the person in front of me who needs to be
hmm,
taken care of.
hmm,
So
hmm.
right now in this moment, as you were sharing, this is how I serve the divine.
Yeah. So,
Truly
huh.
caring or truly, benefiting or nurturing the person. That's how I care for the divine. Now the nurture will also be different for everybody. For
Hmm,
example, a child may need a different kind of nurture.
hmm,
An adult, may need a different kind of, maybe at times also poking, that turn towards dharma, in
hmm, hmm,
implicitly poking, because
hmm,
there we are in a stage where we are able to understand what is more beneficial for us,
hmm,
right? So
hmm,
a friend who is complaining in front of me, I will make her turn towards dharma, in the
hmm,
right sense, that awaken the divine within, and in whatever way, I'm just kind of making
hmm,
it
hmm,
general and you lose. Now
hmm,
if I'm interacting with an adult or a senior citizen,
hmm,
and who in such a state that she or he can't understand what I say, so the words
hmm,
don't work now.
hmm,
What works is my presence and my constant invocation of the divine and the
hmm,
service I provide to that person.
hmm,
है ना?
hmm,
So in
hmm,
every context, this service or servitude to the divine will be different.
hmm,
The only thing that we have to, I feel, focus on is that in whatever way possible, now in front of an animal also we are serving a divine. In
hmm,
animal also has that same divine presence. Plants, we are serving the divine. Huh?
hmm.
Strangers, we are serving the divine. So how can the divine be different?
Exactly.
है
Huh.
ना?
So
Now
through
the
our
divine, sorry,
experiences only, sorry, through our experiences only, we can, like be in touch with the divine, right? Like
bilkul, bilkul.
moment
And
to moment.
in mother's prayers and meditations, it comes again and again that even Sri Aurobindo's writings and our own experiences, they say that we have to work in such a manner that we don't want anything out of our work. No personal gratification is required through the work. So how can this happen? This can happen only when I bank completely for all my satisfactions, emotional satisfaction, mental satisfaction, on the divine within, the intimate relationship with mother that I establish. I totally get a fulfillment there. Now, when I get this fulfillment there and it becomes a practice for me to seek fulfillment only through the mother, now in whatever interactions in the world, what am I doing? I am not seeking fulfillment. I am serving the mother. Mother, this is my offering to you. Now, I don't want anything from that service. Usually, there is every time a hidden want in all the services that we do, either in our family or strangers or wherever. So now I am saying that since I bank only on the mother for this fulfillment which we seek, this sense of lack that we have, emotional fulfillment, mental fulfillment, physical fulfillment, now I have abandoned myself to the mother because I have suffered enough. So I don't want to walk this way that I want to depend on other people and situations to make myself complete. I have done that enough, ran enough, and now I have settled myself with the mother. So, fulfillment purposes, I seek mother's presence. I don't go out, but for service purposes, since I am here, I have a body, I have this instrument, and the whole manifestation is a divine manifestation. I say, okay, how can I offer my services today to this world? Knowing that I am not seeking fulfillment from anywhere. Now there is no separation between remembering the divine and serving people. Does it make sense now, Ashwita?
Monica, actually, yeah, I need some more clarity.
हाँ.
Uh, in the sense that ये इसके लिए कोई टूल्स होंगे क्या? क्योंकि सोचो, आई मीन in service of people, or like wherever you are, अब किसी के साथ अगर कुछ बुरा हो रहा है, तो मैं कैसे डिवाइन पे फोकस करूँ कि like mother says कि the moment you are unhappy, write it down below that you are insincere, no, you're not sincere.
Hmm.
So ये पता नहीं इसके कोई टूल्स है क्या, मतलब हाउ टू रीच
Okay.
दिस, बिकॉज यू नो व्हाट, लाइक अगर किसी के साथ मैं अगर वो फील नहीं कर रही हूँ, तो कहीं पे मुझे लग रहा है कि मैं क्या पत्थर बन रही हूँ क्या, मतलब
अच्छा,
किसी
अच्छा, अच्छा.
तो मैं
So
ये
you are saying that there is a person in
हम्म,
family, relatives, or wherever
हाँ
who is maybe undergoing suffering.
हाँ
Okay. Now you are saying that how can I now focus on the divine and make myself completely aloof and stay away
हाँ
from this suffering? That's what your question is?
हाँ, नहीं मुझे दर्द हो रहा है, तो मैं अभी आई मीन आई एम फीलिंग बैड। अब
Hmm.
अगर मैं वो डिटैच करके सोच रही हूँ, यस डिवाइन, सो आई एम नॉट फीलिंग बैड एंड आई एम, तो मुझे कहीं पे लग रहा है हाउ कैन दैट बी द वे।
No, that where is that mentioned as a way, first of all?
यही तो समझ नहीं आ रहा, यू कैन मेक मी
Yeah.
अंडरस्टैंड।
So we are not stones, as you said, है ना? We are sensitive people. We have been given our senses, and we can make use of those senses in a proper way. So if I see pain somewhere,
हम्म
for example, may imagine that somebody maybe is hitting a dog on the street.
हम्म
I see
हम्म
something wrong happening. Okay. So it is definitely because of my capacity to feel the pain that I would go ahead and, irrespective of taking care of my own life, I would go ahead and save the dog from that beating, for example.
हम्म
In that, I serve the divine.
हम्म।
So, where is the confusion?
No, this example doesn't serve my question
So, give
actually.
me the exact example.
No, so it's like not somebody is beating, like, okay, I get it, like this could be one of the things, but if it's like somebody is so unwell and, like suffering so much, okay, तबीयत के हिसाब से सोचो, या, ऐसे कुछ हो रहा है, and ऐसे में उनकी सफरिंग देखकर मुझे तकलीफ हो रही है, तो
Hmm.
ऐसे में मैं कैसे डिटैच करूं कि अच्छा, मतलब इफ आई एम फीलिंग अनहैप्पी, आई एम नॉट बीइंग सिंसियर, ये मुझे नहीं समझ आ रहा।
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah. So again, situation, context to context, again,
हम्म
the thing would happen. And
हम्म,
many a times there are situations where we actually feel helpless,
हाँ
that
जी,
the person is suffering, and neither can we explain via words to the
हम्म
right direction, because the person is not in a mental state of, being that he would understand what you want to
हम्म
direct him to,
हम्म
and in those situations is where we connect with the suffering. It's beautiful to know that they are in pain.
हम्म
I think we don't have to disconnect from that. And
हम्म
also parallelly also knowing that each soul has its own journey.
हम्म
So trusting that journey also, that,
हम्म
just like I have gone through my miseries and my suffering, now
हम्म
that person has to go through this suffering.
हम्म
So what is my contribution here that I can do now that I see the suffering in one of the ways? Again, infinite possibilities and open to more reflections. One of
हम्म
the ways which I see is that maybe I take time out in silence.
हम्म
I see how much suffering they are going through, and may they find the true refuge in the divine within. May they have the learning that this suffering is wanting to bring in their life. And when we actually take prayers very non-seriously many a times. In the sense, we
हम्म
take the prayers last. कि अच्छा मेरे अब हथकंडे काम नहीं आ रहे तो चलो last, okay, what, वो prayers. But
हम्म
according to what we listen and read again and again, that prayers are the first. The life has to become a prayer. है
हम्म
ना? तो if I see such a situation, even before extending help in my actions, like doing something for that person, even before that, can I invoke divine presence here, that may they have the proper learning that this suffering is wanting to bring in their lives. May they
हम्म
awaken to their true selves, because that is the only refuge in which we have solace.
हम्म।
May
और
they,
ये
yeah.
और ये प्रेयर तो करते हैं, और करते करते like you are not it's just that with that prayer you let go of it, right? Because you won't be able to see that how it's working on them, and क्योंकि what you can see is like, you know,
Right,
वो
right,
तो सफर कर रहे हैं, बट
right.
वो टू लेट गो विद दैट ना, जस्ट प्रे एंड लेट गो एंड
हाँ,
टू वर्क ऑन योर इमोशंस देन, बिकॉज
हाँ,
या हाँ
बिल्कुल,
हाँ
बिल्कुल.
ओके
That's the
ओके
challenge. That's the
या
challenge. And as
ओके
you know, very good that you shared this, because as mother shares that all difficulties lie within us.
हम्म
है ना? तो अगर मेरे को इतना टर्मोइल हो रहा है किसी की सफरिंग को देख के, है ना? So
हम्म
it's parallelly along with the invocation of the divine in them and extending my hand in whatever way possible, whatever way possible, parallelly the inner work has to be done in order to sort
हम्म
and organize the emotions. Because
राइट
imagine, आप ये सोचो, अभी तो हम, we live in such secluded, usually our little families, and rarely extend a hand out. Imagine
हम्म
those people who are working in the war situation, warlike situation. They are saving hundreds of lives, and they are going through like hundreds of people who are suffering every day. आप imagine
हम्म
करो that if they get swayed with every suffering, will they be able to work? They won't
एब्सोल्युटली
be able to work. So parallelly, I think our intelligence or wisdom also has to be awakened within, that it is a divine play. Each one has their own story that is unfolding. Let me
हम्म
trust that story completely and
हम्म
extend and invoke the divine first of all in them
हम्म
and in me, and also extend my hand in whatever way possible.
हम्म
But do not to drain myself, because in draining with only one person, if I'm going to help 10 people, if I drain myself like this, I'm only with one person, I'm going to get drained, and for 5 days I will not be able to work anymore.
right right
So
I
this,
understood
yeah,
yeah
this
yeah
has to be there,
mm
this faith in the divine grace, that
mm
whatever is
mm
happening for a reason,
mm
in my life also, in their life also. And may they understand the true reason and have the full learning that this suffering is going to bring them. And then parallelly extending our hand and actions in whatever little way possible.
Okay, okay,
So
got it.
parallelly, I
So,
think many things have to be.
yeah, now suddenly I am reminded of Wayne Dyer. Like Wayne Dyer used to say na, that you can't get sad enough or sick enough to help sick people.
Bilkul,
And yeah, yeah,
bilkul,
yeah. Okay, okay. I
bilkul,
just it just
absolutely.
came. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Got it, got it.
yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yes.
Thank you, thank you.
Mother shares that there are people who can just get sick if one person sneezes next to them. And then there are people who are so full of this compassion and kindness and want to extend their hand, completely banking inside on the divine, that in the war zone, living with many, many people who are sick and having contagious diseases, they won't get sick. So that is the solidity that we have to create in ourselves. That is the divine faith, unshakable faith on which we have to bank ourselves. Otherwise, this drainage will happen. So, yeah, thanks for bringing it up. Yeah, Taru, anything from you on this?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I had a bit of, lot of just, I mean, beautiful discussion helps me, I feel. Whenever there's a tragedy or there's something of extreme nature, right, which is like more than the regular, I feel it's much more learning for the people around than the one who's suffering. A lot of time they are not even, I don't know, fully there. Maybe, say a child with severe delayed growth. Like I was an occupational therapist, and there you see children who have no idea, it's this mental slowness and stuff, and how the parents around them, the people around them, their state of mind and how. So I think just this thing that there's more, it can't be this, right? Even in diseases, I feel that detachment also with the body or with the whole drama, this drama that we also take it to be so real. I think that also is one of the intentions that, yeah, you see it. It's not possible to ignore it or shrug it under the carpet. Yeah, that's about it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. So I think just what you shared, that when we meet people with severe challenges, mental challenges, physical challenges, emotional weakness, and also what Shweta was sharing, that when I see a person suffering in front of me and also feeling helpless, at the very that juncture, that crucial juncture that I'm standing, I think it was Pema Chodron where I came across it first, that we can use this opportunity to open the locks of our heart. That let the heart crack open when we see so much pain. And only when the heart cracks open, seeing so much pain and feeling the helplessness that you can really do this much, only little that you can do, and that is not enough to take care of the person. So when we feel this helplessness inside of us, then is the time when we open ourselves to the divine, that, hey Prabhu, take me as an instrument. There is so much suffering. Who has time to focus on their own suffering when there is so much suffering around? And then you like jump, plunge deep into the divine work, that take me. I don't want to now live only for this limited self that I have been living for. Take me as an instrument and make use of it in whatever way you deem fit. Not even having any image of that, but at least stepping back from my unfulfilled wishes as a egoistic self, because they are so trivial in front of these mishaps and conditions which the humanity collectively goes through. So that's very same suffering which makes me helpless. That helplessness can make my heart even more open, and that's how compassion and kindness arise. And that's how I'm able to step back from the little self, that no more living for the little self anymore. Let me offer myself. So surrender also then comes.
Yeah, so when I am
Yeah.
catering to my emotions, then
Hmm.
it becomes the little self, right?
Yes.
है ना,
Yes.
मतलब वही मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा था कि
Yeah.
लिटिल सेल्फ कैसे, जब दर्द किसी और का है
Hmm.
तो मैं कैसे लिटिल, बट क्योंकि मैं वो आई मीन प्रेयर्स तो साथ में चल रहे हैं, बट व्हेन
Hmm.
आई गेट entangled in my emotions, that
That's
becomes
little self.
little self, है ना?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that anything that is sticky in us, whether it sticks to suffering of others around, that stickiness is the little self. So absolutely, yes. Yeah. That's my work in that situation. And as Taru was sharing, that if one person gets a disease, everyone gets transformed. So if a person in front of me is suffering, his suffering is also making me transform, so that I can step back from my little self and do whatever is required in that particular moment.
सो पता
Yes.
है, माई कंफ्यूजन नाउ आई हैव क्लैरिटी, मुझे ऐसे लग रहा था कि अगर मुझे दर्द नहीं हो रहा
Hmm.
तो देन द समथिंग इज रॉन्ग विद मी,
Hmm.
बट नाउ आई गेट इट, लाइक क्या
Hmm.
मतलब, यू नो,
Hmm.
हाउ कैन आई नॉट फील बैड, दैट वाज माय थिंग, इफ आई एम यू नो, लाइक आई
Yeah.
वो कंफ्यूजन था, बट नाउ आई
हाँ,
गॉट इट, या
हाँ, हाँ। और पता है फीलिंग बैड में भी, इफ आई एम फीलिंग बैड और सॉरी फॉर समथिंग, है ना, अगेन वी देर आर टू पॉसिबिलिटीज दैट कैन हैपन, ओनली बाइनरी फंक्शन इज पॉसिबल.
हम्म
either either I make that pain a part of my ego self, the sticky
हम्म
self, it sticks to me, it overwhelms me. Okay, that is one possibility which happens to us. And in that, actually I feel so helpless that I'm actually not even able to do whatever little I can do. That's, है ना, ड्रेनेज हो
हम्म
जाती है उसमें,
डिप्लीशन होता है, राइट,
डिप्लीशन
हाँ,
होता है, एग्जैक्टली.
राइट
सो
राइट,
ओनली बाइनरी पॉसिबिलिटी इज 0 or 1.
हम्म
0 is this egoistic state wherever we can
हम्म
stick to this pain, or the
हम्म
same pain and sensitivity I can
हम्म
transform into higher, open my
हम्म
heart, oh divine, so that I can, offer my presence in this situation. And
That is the
in
work.
an
Right.
extremely non-sticky manner, that I
Hmm.
feel for this person, or if I feel for this situation, tell me how can I help, in that
Hmm.
sense. Yeah.
Right, right. Thank you. Got it.
Thank you, thank you. So in thee, by thee, for thee we live. We don't live for our own little self. And thy law, the divine law, is the supreme master of our life. So there is no worry that needs to be there here. Because when the divine law is in function, who has to worry? And I am doing my work. I am working on my inner sorting. I am invoking the divine within. I am giving the divine the throne again and again. I am invoking, stepping back from the ego. That's my inner work. That's my inner work, and let the divine unfold. Then we won't be disappointed if something happens, in which we think should not have happened, because we know that the divine unfolding is mystical, and every life has their own story. So if something did not happen according to what I wanted, then letting it go, as you were sharing, that letting it go and knowing that every life has a unfolding too, which we have to trust, but being available. So for example, if I want to offer my presence, being available, if somebody approaches again or some doors open again for a person, we are available, we are open. And it's not that because of that disappointment that we faced earlier, we will shut our doors of the heart, that why didn't you hear me earlier when I was talking to you, for example. That again is the clingy self, the
Yeah,
ego.
yeah, yeah.
So may thy will be done in every place. May thy peace reign upon all the earth. So that more beauty, more harmony, more love can be there. So I was thinking, because it is just in connection, this other prayer, and it's a short one. So I thought I'll just, maybe it's still, we have 20 minutes, we can take this up. So March 20, 1914. Yeah, would anyone like to read it?
I can read, but Taru, do you want to read? Are you there?
Yeah, Shweta, you read, please. Thank you. I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. March 20th, 1914. Thou art consciousness and light. Thou art peace in the depth of all things, the divine love that transfigures, the knowledge that triumphs over darkness. To feel thee and aspire to thee, one should have emerged from the immense sea of subconscient. One should have begun to crystallize, to grow distinct so as to know oneself, and then give oneself as that alone, which is its own master, can do. And what effort and struggle it takes to attain this crystallization, to emerge from the amorphous state of the environment, and how much more effort and struggle yet to give oneself, to surrender once the individuality has been formed. Few beings consent willingly to make this effort. So life, with its brutal, unforeseen event, obliges men to make it unintentionally, for they cannot do otherwise. And little by little, thy work is accomplished despite all obstacles.
Yeah, beautiful prayer.
Yeah, very nice.
So, as we say, ego is the helper and ego is the bar. Mother talks about this crystallization here, that to feel thee, to feel the divine, and to aspire to perfection, to beauty, to harmony, what is the state? One should have emerged from the immense sea of subconscient. One should have begun to crystallize, to grow distinct. And this is the task of the ego consciousness. Because I don't even know what I want. Parents are saying this, people are saying this, my ancestors want this, and I have no clue what to do with my life. So that's the subconscious sea, amorphous existence that we have, the collective hints and suggestions that we get from the social media. Everyone is following this, let me also follow this. So I have no clue what I truly, in the depth of my heart, I want with my life. So that's an amorphous state. And we all see, and we have been through these amorphous states also. And we see people around us who still are influenced by everything collective. We ourselves get collective suggestions, and we see how powerful these collective suggestions are. Like when we enter a shopping mall, how our state of being changes, suddenly become more desirous. And it's like we don't know what we truly seek. We're not able to crystallize it, that okay, concrete, this is what I seek and this is what I now not require in my life. So this crystallization requires a long time, many lifetimes also. So mother says that to feel the divine and to aspire to the divine, what state one must have reached? That one must have emerged from this immense sea of the subconscious. We have no idea what is ruling us. So slowly we have come up from that stage. One should have begun to crystallize, to grow distinct. And this is what ego consciousness serves in the human evolution. That, okay, I think this is true, this is my path. Let me walk with, this path with passion. So ego is giving us passion, a direction in life, and I'm growing in that direction, not getting swayed by every little hear and say, whatever I hear from every person. So ego gives us a direction, a temporary direction in our life. We grow distinct, so we develop passions and hobbies and interests and inclinations. That I want to do swimming, but I don't, for example, want to go into army. For example, just giving an example. So this makes me follow a direction in my life. It makes me crystallize. It's not that kal papa ne ye keh diya to wo kar liya, kisi aur ne wo keh diya to wo kar liya. Not like that. So we grow distinct so as to know oneself and then give oneself as that alone which is its own master can do. So mother is saying that when can we give? If I have a piece of cloth, when can I give it to you? When I own that cloth. So I say, okay, I find this cloth very beautiful. You are my friend. I offer this to you. So I give this to you. Why? Because I own that cloth. So mother is sharing that we can only offer what we have mastered, or at least have become conscious of in greater or lesser degree. We cannot offer what we are not conscious of. So if somebody is saying, offer your feelings, oh my God, I don't even know what are my feelings. That is the state of unconsciousness I live in. So how can I offer my feelings? So we can't do this with every person we meet on the road. That say to him or her that, okay, this is the easiest part, offer your feelings to the mother. Poor fellow doesn't even know what his feelings are. So this is a gradation of consciousness that we must have reached, so that I become conscious of my feelings, I become conscious of my moods, my thoughts, my ideas, my opinions. So first they have to form in me, they have to develop concretely, and then when I become conscious of them in my depths, then the offering can start. Because now there is a bit of mastery there, that okay, I see this is my opinion about this situation. For example, politics. This is my opinion about this political leader. It's very concrete in my head. I can see it. So in one sense, I am a master of that. I see it in front of me. I am at a higher level, like I'm able to see this with light of consciousness. Now there is a possibility that I can offer it to the divine. Before I become conscious of my opinions, how can I offer my opinions to the divine? So mother is saying this, that one should have begun to crystallize, to grow distinct, so as to know oneself and then give oneself. So first I become conscious what is going on in my head, what is going on in my feelings, what I am getting attracted to. All this is very sorted and organized. And then mother says only that can give itself, which is its own master. Only master can give something to the other. And that's the reason mother would say that when you offer your shadows to me, I already know, I am all omniscient. I know, the Divine Mother knows everything. It is specifically to make you conscious of that thing that you want to offer me. So that this crystallization happens, so that we become conscious of each bit, piece, and part in our being and become, to a greater or a lesser degree, a master of ourselves. So when I know my desire, when I see a desire in front of my light of consciousness, I'm looking at it. Okay, this is what I'm desiring for. Very concrete. Then the offering can happen. So if somebody asks me, can you offer me your, for example, phone? Now, I am so unconscious that I don't even know that I have a phone in my bag. So how can I offer? So first I have to open the contents of the bag. I have to look at each piece and part in the bag and then see, oh, yes, I see. There is a phone. Then I can offer. So this is what is Mother saying, that become conscious. We have to become conscious. We have to emerge from the sea of unconsciousness and subconscious. Then only this offering can happen. And then Mother says, oh my God, what effort and struggle it takes to attain this crystallization. And we all know what effort it takes. What effort and struggle it takes to attain this crystallization. Most of us are very happy living in a very amorphous, uncrystallized, and not even knowing what to do, just going to shopping sometimes and doing this, doing that because people are seeing. That is easy. So उस झोंके ने इधर उड़ा दिया तो उधर चले गए, झोंके ने उधर चढ़ा दिया तो उधर चले गए. You have no idea where you want to go. So Mother says that it takes a lot of effort. That's where we grow out from our tamas and inertia. It takes a lot of effort and struggle. It takes to attain this crystallization, to become concrete in us, that this is what I want to do with my life. And this is what we see in teenagers and young adults. They become slowly, they begin to become crystallized, that I don't want to go in the direction of biology, I want to go in the direction of maybe art, or music. So this crystallization, ego personality, serves this temporary purpose to emerge from the amorphous state of the environment. And how much more effort and struggle yet to give oneself, to surrender once the individuality has been formed. Now, knowing that we are sticky beings, we stick to our formations, we stick to our desires, we stick to our this is who I am and I can't be otherwise. This is what I love and I can't love anything else. So we stick to even our ideas, opinions. So that crystallite state that was only meant to be a temporary stage, we stick to that stage. And that's why surrender becomes difficult. That how can I offer this? Oh my God, 30 years of my life I have done this. Now you're asking me offer it to the mother. How? Because we stick. And so that individuality now has become a sense of self for me. And I don't know how to offer it. So Mother says that yes, not even that crystallization is effort. How much more effort and struggle yet to give oneself once you have formed it. Now imagine that you create a beautiful art or a piece of art, or maybe a building. If you are a builder, you create a building, or maybe if you are a collector of money, you accumulate property and factory and things like that. And now somebody says that now you have collected enough, you have done really good job, offer this to the divine. There would be a very rare individual who would just walk off offering everything and still have a sense of self which is full and complete. That's what is Mother asking. That's what is demanded of us. How much more effort and struggle yet to give oneself to surrender once the individuality has been formed. So that's the non-stickiness is required. Because when the ego self is taken away from us, something greater comes into being, which is the psychic individuality. That's our true mission in life. Now that has the opportunity to unveil. Only when I let go of the contents of my cup and make the cup empty. And if I'm still scared of the empty cup, I won't be able to then taste what lies ahead when the ego individuality goes away. So My lollies and candies have to be given away for the greater to come. And mother says only few beings consent willingly to make this effort. So life with its, so what happens? Because only few of us collaborate and walk the sunlit path, what happens? Now this has to happen. It's divine certitude that this has to happen for each one of us. That's our destiny. Now, if I don't follow it collaboratively with my own happiness, what happens? So life with its brutal, unforeseen events. Why brutal? Because we look at it as a tragedy. If my loved one is taken away from me, if my family just disappears, in thin air, if I lose my property, if I lose my substantial business that I have set for myself, then it is seen as brutal. Oh, divine is so cruel. Because we think that the purpose of life is to have families and settled things and settled workplaces and there and here. That is the purpose of life. So because we think like that, it appears brutal when tragedies happen. But they are not brutal, they are coming out of divine compassion. They want to give us something higher, which we want to run away from. So, life with its brutal, unforeseen events obliges men to make it unintentionally. So, that surrender, which I'm not able to do consciously, life's blows make me do that surrender. We have seen this happen with ourselves, with other people around. That such a tragedy, such painful events happen that you have no other option left but to surrender yourself to the divine. And that was the true purpose of human existence. So it's good. It's still a cheap bargain if in this lifetime I'm able to do that, no matter how many people I have to lose in my life. So it appears very brutal on one hand, and yet for the divine purpose, that's what has to be done. For they can't do it otherwise. And little by little, thy work is accomplished despite all the obstacles. So, no matter how many Ravanas may be there, a Ram will come, and ultimately, the Ravana have liberation. Ravana just cannot continue forever. That's not possible. Even Hitler had an ending, Alexander the Great had an ending. All the so-called uh, titanic people we have known in our history, they all had an ending sooner or later. And in an ending, that kind of an ending, they actually got liberation from that egoistic self. It's only that long that you can go so evil. After that, the divine has to intervene. Yeah. So anything, anyone, any reflections here?
The last paragraph is very impactful. Yeah, it's very true. And it also, like you were talking about Hitler and also, I feel uh, the like the darkness comes for the sake of light. So they, like till they do what they do till indirectly they work for the better world.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We all go back to the same place. So yeah. Like you were saying, na Ravan kitne bhi baar aaye, but I'm sure for the collective growth and evolution, Ravan was needed. Like
Exactly.
yeah,
Yes. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah,
thank
let
you,
me read it
Pujita.
again.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah, hi,
Shweta.
sorry.
हाँ बोलो तरु.
हाँ, sorry, मैं बहुत noise में थी. I think the way you explained it, how one has to own oneself before one can, even offer. I think that's a very important, I don't know, uh, window, because lot of times, we hear this question from within and outside, Like what is the purpose of this, right? Like why are we doing this? This makes no sense. We come from the divine, we have to go back to the divine. So it answers a lot of question as to, a little bit of purpose that okay, you have to know, you have to come from ignorance to, I mean, I know it could just sound wordplay, and yet it did give some distinct, I don't know, purpose there, which was very helpful. And this few beings consent willingly to make this effort. So life, like Shweta was saying the last paragraph, like if it was just left to us, I don't know what we would do. Like if there was no, and if there was just balance, if there was no extremities of emotion, like how, say for myself, I'll use I, how the dualities seem like, okay, you have to rise above them. And yet the importance of dualities, one keeps seeing because jab tak padti nahi hai somehow, that thing doesn't come that, okay, oh, suddenly you see more, something happens and you get a pain, you get a reaction, you get something, and you're like, oh, this is where I was, oh, this is not I want to do. Like again, how JTP says about we not being very intelligent, rather stupid, that again and again comes to me. Ki, yes, and then we say God is unkind. I find that very, I don't know, funny and humorous that I am the one who just listens mostly when I'm slapped. So, and whenever I'm slapped, I'm like, oh my God, how could he slap me? Like, I don't see the whole thing. I don't see in honesty and sincerity and simplicity that this is still now the thing that works for me.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes, yes, absolutely. I think, and why we use the term why God is unkind and or God is cruel. I think because in those states of my life, when I'm actually saying that God is unkind, how dare this thing happen to me? There actually somewhere I'm not growing through that opportunity. Somewhere the lessons are not learned. So I'm at every hammer and chisel, I'm crying out, that I don't want to be shaped. It hurts, I don't want to be shaped. But when one is able to see the impact of those blows and how it shapes me beautifully, then when the next time the chisel happens or the hammer comes, the blow comes, I will actually feel that, oh my God, the divine is so kind that no matter how many times I say no, the divine never gives up, because now I am ready to shape myself or get shaped because of those blows. And after some time, the blows are not even necessary.
Mm. So even when I'm getting chiseled and it's painful and I might be crying in pain, and yet I know something in me, right? Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
this is for the good. That is also
This
a
is for the
state that
good.
one
Exactly.
sees. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Like outside, I might be wincing in pain,
yeah,
and
yeah.
yet this. And plus, that word magician, that magic that
Huh,
mother had used in the last
huh,
prayer,
huh.
that also I feel is really, I don't know what word to use, but it doesn't make sense, right? Like
Hmm,
even like some things I see in myself, which I wonder that things I used to struggle with,
hmm,
and now it's they, and there are of course more struggles too, but that I don't know how things happen, right? I don't know
hmm,
how the sometimes the light comes, like
hmm,
how. So again, that and again there was this thing that where mother had said, okay, even when when you start trying, when you start offering, even before you think you are ready, the divine
hmm.
picks you up. It's
Yeah.
like we are harsher on ourselves,
Hmm,
and we don't know how the transformation or those small lightness
hmm,
comes into you. Like it appears nothing except magic. And magic is what, right? Magic is something that one cannot explain, right? One
hmm,
cannot see the series of events. You go from one point to point B without seeing how it happened, right? And that's what we call magic.
hmm.
So
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Great. So thank you. With that, we end. And Wishing us happy practice. Thank you for joining, Shweta. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye bye.
Monica, Charu, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.